After years of chasing the paranormal, Agent Mulder starts doubting his beliefs until he meets a man that transforms into something other than a monster. In Oregon, two junkies huff spray paint in the woods. Upon noticing the full moon, the woman reflects on life while her companion wonders about getting high as a werewolf. Hearing a scream, they rush to where it came from and discover a humanoid lizard attacking a man. The creature shrieks and runs past them, leaving the couple surprised. They then attend to the victim, who is an animal control officer named Pasha. To their surprise, there's another man with a gash on his neck. The following day, FBI agent Mulder shoots pencils like darts at an "I want to believe" poster when his colleague, Agent Scully, catches him. He laments how since they were away, much of the unexplained were proven to be hoaxes. He sifts through their archives, noting how they've been verified as either caused by publicity stunts, pranksters, or ICE. Seeing him spiraling, Scully jokingly asks if he's taken his medication. Mulder ignores this and contemplates if he had wasted his life with childish things like Sasquatches and jackalopes. With that, Scully announces that they have another case involving a monster. Finding irony in that, Mulder shoots another pencil into the poster. At the crime scene, Scully examines their composite sketch based on the couple's testimony from last night. One claimed the monster had 3 eyes, while the other said it had only 1. Mulder thinks it's odd that the junkies didn't take pictures since everyone has a camera nowadays. Scully adds that Pasha claimed he didn't see the creature, so her partner suggests it was a mountain lion since the animals always attack from behind. His partner reveals that the authorities thought the same until they found 3 other victims in the woods, and one wasn't wearing any clothes. Mulder dismisses it as the victim going for a more adventurous hike before being attacked. Doubtful, Scully points out that the wounds implied that it was done by a man or something human-like. Mulder remains uninterested since he'd given up on profiling serial killers as they're always the same. Tired of his attitude, Scully reminds him that lives were lost, so as agents, they can stop it from happening again, regardless of what the killer is. Mulder concedes but bets that whatever the suspect is, it'll only have 2 eyes. That night, a transgender woman named Annabelle tries to get a client when something rushes toward her. In self-defense, she strikes it with her bag. The agents soon arrive at the scene, so Annabelle tells them about hitting the creature, which resembles a lizard. When Mulder presents their composite sketch, she claims it only had 2 eyes and was wearing undergarments. Nearby, the agents find Pasha searching for something in the field. Scully wonders if he'd been called to investigate the creature Annabelle saw, but Pasha clarifies that he was contacted about a stray puppy. He hopes that's what she saw since he can't handle big animals. They suddenly hear a growl, so Pasha flees. The agents head to the source while Mulder takes pictures to verify the witnesses' accounts, though his camera app won't stop snapping photos. When Scully checks, she sees that he'd taken a gruesome photo of the freshly killed body in front of them. Just then, Mulder hears the creature dashing off, so he runs after it while still taking pictures. Instead, however, he comes upon Pasha running behind him. Seeing Mulder's phone taking pictures non-stop, he helps him just as the lizard lunges behind them. Hearing their screams, Scully runs to them and finds Mulder with blood on his face. Fortunately, it's not his. Meanwhile, Pasha sees his control pole and nets broken by the creature, so he decides to quit his job. The lizard suddenly runs past them, so the agents chase after it and see it closing the door on a porta potty. However, when they open the door, they only find a man using the toilet. After they're gone, the man exits and his horns retract back to his head. That night, Scully examines one of the victims while Mulder shows her the footage she took. The video shows blood spilling on his face while the creature's attacked. He thinks that it shot blood at him, presumably from its eyeball. Scully thinks it's blood from the previous attack, but Mulder shows her how horned lizards squirt blood from their eyes as a defense mechanism. Doubtful, Scully points out that the bites on the victim's wounds match a human's. This makes Mulder wonder if they're looking for a human-sized horned lizard with human teeth, which they agree is ridiculous. Despite this, Scully smiles and she enjoys the investigation. Later in his motel room, Mulder wakes up to a man shouting, "Monster." Concerned, he goes to the manager's office to ask what happened. The man apologizes, claiming that an angry guest just called him a monster after he demanded payment. However, when Mulder checks the next room, he discovers that it's been trashed. He finds a paper bag from a cell phone store and a bottle of antipsychotic medications from a person named Guy Man, which he pockets. He then picks up a jackalope mount on the floor, which has holes in its eyes. The wall where it's supposed to be also has a large hole, so Mulder investigates and discovers a hidden door, opening to a room used to spy on motel guests. Soon, he enters the manager's office through his hidden door. When Mulder presents his badge, the manager claims the secret door is for security. Mulder clarifies he won't report him since he already assumed the man was a peeping Tom. Connecting this and the scream earlier, he suspects the manager saw something, so the older man explains. While the manager was peeking at the guest's room, he heard Guy, the same man from the porta potty, shouting and breaking the mirror. He then destroyed his alarm clock so that it wouldn't wake him again. Suddenly, Guy felt something and prayed that this was the last time. As he morphed into his lizard form, the manager screamed. Hearing him, he quickly took the mount off, exposing the frightened manager. Mulder shows the manager their composite sketch of the lizard, which he confirms is what he saw. When he shows him a picture of Guy in the porta potty, which he accidentally took, the man asserts they're the same person. Later, Mulder reveals to Scully that Guy shifted from a human to a monster. He anticipates his partner's argument that werewolf myths were concocted to explain people's violent behavior before rabies was discovered. However, he argues that some legends are based on actual occurrences. Before she could say anything, Mulder assumes she thinks that it violates scientific law, but he counters that science is not yet all-knowing. He then lists his theories, ranging from the creature existing to develop a paradigm for their perception of life to it being a GMO experiment. Mulder ultimately acknowledges that it's a monster. With that, Scully remarks that this is the Mulder she likes. However, she thinks his theories are insane. To prove his claim, he shows Guy's picture and points out that he was wearing the same clothes that the victim from the woods was supposed to be wearing before he was killed. Considering this, Scully decides to speak with Guy, but Mulder doesn't think he'll return. Fortunately, he found some personal belongings in his room which might lead to clues. Before that, he suggests checking out of the sketchy motel first. The following day, Mulder meets Guy's psychiatrist, Rumanovich, who recounts the legend of a constable and a man-eating lizard dragon. To kill a dragon, a gypsy claimed it must be stabbed in its appendix with green glass. However, the constable realized he was only staring at himself in the mirror because he was the monster all along. Rumanovich concludes that dealing with physical monsters is easier than dealing with those inside of us. He was reminded of the story since Guy believes if the moon appears, he will transform into a were-lizard. Since the psychiatrist's records don't provide much information and Guy Man might not be his real name, Mulder asks for a way to find him. Rumanovich shares that he advised Guy to visit a graveyard whenever he senses an episode coming, to remind him that no matter how overwhelming anxieties can be, they will be resolved when one's gone. Mulder thinks the advice wasn't wise. Rumanovich then writes Mulder a prescription since the agent believes that Guy is a were-lizard. Unamused, the agent leaves the prescription and heads out. Just then, Scully calls Mulder because she found Guy working at the phone store. She tries to tell him about the reports from her autopsy, but Mulder hangs up. She then goes inside the store and approaches Guy. When Mulder arrives, he finds the store torn apart. Scully explains that Guy suddenly went on a rampage before fleeing. Her partner reminds her that approaching a suspect alone is dangerous. Before she can disclose the lab results again, he leaves to pursue Guy. In the cemetery, Guy drinks when Mulder approaches. He poses as a visitor, then asks the man whether he has lost someone. Guy reveals he lost himself since he realized that humans die no matter what they do, so life doesn't make sense. Curious, Mulder advises Guy to share what's worrying him, and the man admits that he wants the absurdity of life to end. Worried, the agent wonders if he'll do something crazy. Suddenly, Guy declares that he'll kill him. He then breaks his green liquor bottle and attempts to stab him. Mulder goes for his gun, but Guy makes him trip and toss the gun away. With the agent on the ground, Guy pretends to trip and drop the broken glass, so Mulder takes it. Awkwardly, Guy grabs his hand to make aim for his appendix, but the agent figures out that he's getting him to kill him. The agent refuses to do so and offers his help. However, Guy insists that the only way he can help is to put him out of his misery. Hearing this, Mulder agrees, but only after hearing his story. With a sigh, Guy takes another liquor bottle from his suit for Mulder to drink during his story. A few nights ago, Guy was sitting in the woods in his lizard form when two men fighting suddenly appeared. One man bit the other, so Guy panicked and tried to scare the killer away. Instead, the man bit him too. Shocked, Guy screamed and ran past the junkies. Already confused, Mulder clarifies if a man bit him, so Guy showed his wound to prove it. However, Mulder thinks it looks like a hickey. He then shows Guy the composite sketch, which he confirms is accurate, except for the 3 eyes. He continues that he first transformed the next morning in the woods. The transformation also affected his mentality as he became self-aware and was overcome with an irrational need to cover himself up. When he found dead bodies in the woods, he took one of the victim's clothes. Afterward, he felt the urge to hunt. Mulder suggests he wanted to hunt a human, but Guy clarifies that he wanted a job. Surprisingly, he found one immediately after arriving in town. He became a store clerk in the phone store, then was quickly promoted to manager even though he was clueless about the devices. Mulder points out that he lacks a social security number, but Guy declares he has one Darwinian advantage, lying his way through anything. The agent wonders if he's lying to him now, so the latter admits he doesn't know since he doesn't understand half of what he's saying. Guy shares that after a tiring day at work, he committed a murder. Mulder asks who he killed, and he answers that it was a cow. He ordered a cheeseburger from a drive-in, then checked into a motel where he helplessly watched an intimate show. That night, he started transforming into a lizard again, so he happily jumped on his bed. However, he was back to being a human when he woke up the following day. He went to work, but all he could think of was how he hated it. However, he worried about paying his bills, getting a loan, starting a mortgage, and saving for retirement. Because of this, Guy sought help from a psychiatrist, but the medication didn't cure him. Instead, he got a puppy and named it Dagu. With that, he realized that the only way to be satisfied was to spend time with a non-human. However, when he returned home from work, Dagu was gone. He looked for his pet all night, but to no avail, so he became depressed. He then encountered the man who bit him, and this filled him with a need for vengeance. He was about to attack him, but when he saw the suspect bite someone else, Guy was horrified. During this, the moon appeared, transforming him into his true form. After discovering what humans are capable of, he decided to return to the wild. While walking, he undressed and collided with Annabelle, who knocked him down with her purse. He comments that she hit like a man, so Mulder reveals she's transgender. He explains that changing genders is now a common medical procedure, so Guy wonders if it will cure him of his transformation. However, when he discovers that his private parts will be severed, he decides against it. He can't remember the rest of the night due to his concussion, but he recalls being pursued and someone taking a picture of him inside the porta potty. Mulder admits that was him, then asks how Guy transformed into a man since it wasn't morning back then. However, Guy is also clueless. He doesn't think everything has logic, like how the jackalope on the wall started screaming in his motel room the other night. Mulder assures him that jackalopes are a hoax, but Guy insists they're real because one killed his friend. Since he was exposed, he left the motel and returned to work the next morning. He claims that Scully entered the store and tempted him. However, Mulder calls out his lie, so Guy confesses that he can't help but lie about his intimate encounters since becoming human. However, he insists that he only lied about the last part of his story. With the story done, he begs Mulder to kill him. However, Mulder thinks that they both want to believe in things that aren't real. Guy quotes Hamlet, implying that human knowledge is limited. He realizes that if there's nothing more to life than what humans know, then all they'll have are worries, self-doubt, regret, and loneliness. Guy begs Mulder to end his misery because he no longer wants to be human. However, he finds his wallet, discovering that Mulder's an FBI agent. Guy concludes that he wants to arrest him for something he didn't do, so he walks away while calling the agent a monster. Defeated, Mulder takes another liquor bottle from his own suit and drinks. He wakes up when Scully calls him later, admitting that he fell off the wagon. Mulder confirms that he found the were-lizard, but it's a lizard that turns into a man, not the other way around. He thinks he's a fool to believe in the stories, so he starts deleting the photos from his phone. Scully then informs him that she's at the animal shelter waiting for Pasha, who apparently didn't resign. Dagu, who's been captured by the animal control, then bites her finger just before a suspicious Pasha enters. Hearing this, Mulder sees his close-up photo of Guy's were-lizard form, realizing that the wound actually looks like a human bite. Just then, Pasha strangles Scully with a control pole. Hearing the commotion, Mulder calls for backup while rushing to the scene. Mulder and the cops soon arrive, but Scully has already apprehended Pasha. Finally, she shares that the autopsy revealed that the actual cause of death was strangulation. She then examined Pasha's broken control pole from the other night and found tissue and blood from previous victims. Pasha then reveals he's had an uncontrollable desire to kill small animals since childhood, and it has grown stronger. Uninterested in his backstory, Scully hands him to the police. Mulder then scolds his partner for approaching a suspect without backup. However, Scully declares that she's immortal. When asked how he knew it was Pasha, Mulder mentions seeing the bite mark on one of the photos he took. He realizes that Guy's story is true, so he heads out, leaving Scully with Dagu, whom she decides to adopt. That night, Mulder finds Guy in the woods, assuring him that the murderer was arrested. He now knows Guy was telling the truth, but can't help but think it's absurd. The were-lizard agrees that life is more absurd, like the ideas of a necktie, which is basically a piece of cloth waiting to strangle them. He undresses as he prepares to hibernate, hoping never to transform into a human again after 10,000 years. Mulder says that's impossible, so Guy walks out since he doesn't believe him again. Before he leaves, Mulder shares that he wants to believe. Hearing this, Guy shares that he's been through a lot but is grateful to have met him. As they shake hands, Guy transforms into his true form and flees. Watching him, Mulder smiles and utters likewise, as his faith in the paranormal has returned.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.